So today's panel topic is, will artists be replaced by AI agents? And before we start, I'd like to ask the audience, how many of you are using AI agents? Raise your hand. And how many do not? Okay. Yeah, so let's start by introduction. So let's start from the end. Who you are, where you're from, and what you do.
I'm Seth Goldstein. You can find me on Twitter @Seth. I founded Bright Moments like four years ago with a group of folks in Venice Beach, and we went around the world for a couple of years and minted 10,000 crypto citizens and 20,000 pieces of mostly generative and AI art. We finished the project about a year ago. I live in San Francisco, and working on a bunch of stuff in the agent space that I'm happy to talk about.
Hi everyone, I'm Sharon, CMO at ChangeGTP. We do a bunch of stuff, but for this conversation, we're developing AI applications for in the blockchain sphere, and also involved in AI agents. We also have an NFT platform to generate, let's call it art. So I'm more the tech side, but I think it's also an interesting angle for this conversation.
I'm Simon Hudson. I lead the Botto project with a group of colleagues, creative technologists, and the artist Mario Klingemann. My own background's in science communications, especially focused around AI literacy and governance of AI.
And I'm Primavera. I'm an artist, I'm a legal scholar, and I'm an entrepreneur. But with those three hats, I do exactly the same thing, which is exploring how the legal and copyright system is actually evolving with the advent of emergent technology. So as an artist, I pretty much create like synthetic life forms, whatever that means. And then as a legal scholar, I'm studying like the implication of blockchain and artificial intelligence on creativity, copyright, IP, etc. And then as an entrepreneur, I created a platform that is helping artists create their own generative AI model in order to basically delegate to those generative AI model the task of creating art.
Okay, thank you. And I'm your moderator today. I'm Jenni Pasanen. I'm a mixed media artist, and I create art by combining digital painting and GAN. And let's start the panel by the question, will artists be replaced by AI agents, and why? So who wants to start?
Are we going to do the debate idea?
Yes.
Me. Okay, well, Primavera had the great idea of taking positions we don't necessarily believe in to have a proper debate, because I think we can sit on different sides of this. But I will take the position of no, they will not be replaced by artists. Just by starting with the plain idea of who's making the agent, who's designing the system that the agent operates in, who's designing the protocols that it experiences, runs through, the rules that it is constrained by, the kinds of interactions that it can have. There's a lot that it can do autonomously, but I think that when you pull back and look at the design of that ecosystem that it operates in, there's going to be a lot of human hands involved in that, and a lot of creative decisions to think through what statements can you say about the ecosystem you design, about the rules of the game, about the emphasis of what parts of that game should matter, what parts of that game shouldn't matter. Just to take an anecdote from Botto, I mean, we've made an autonomous artist. The artist makes its own prompts, runs them through text-image models, makes thousands of images every day. It picks the ones that it likes the most and presents them to a crowd to ask, is this art or not? And it feeds that back through its system to train on its prompts and its taste. And only the most popular image is minted as a true artwork and sold, and the proceeds go back to the people training that system as this feedback loop of incentives. That system is this trinity of autonomous creation, of community governance, and then the market acting as its own autonomous force. One way of looking at that is there is no artist. It's just we've created the ecosystem around an artist to give feedback on the work that comes out. The work doesn't necessarily have any meaning when it comes out. The meaning is generated through that collective curation, collective commenting, debate about whether or not this is a piece of art. And then it gets sold and it continues to take on a life of its own. So I think that like even as you've automated the whole creative process, the human role of creativity actually gets kind of re-emphasized around the artist. So there's the myth of the lone genius artist. We've completely mythologized the artist and put the focus on the ecosystem around the artist. So that's a bit of a tangent, but just to start us off, maybe.
I would like to strongly disagree with this statement. I think, the question is a bit tricky, of course, because I think it's more like can artists be replaced as opposed to will, because we don't know the future. But can it be replaced? It's a different question that maybe I can try to answer in a strongly positive way. In the sense that, at least from my own artistic perspective, I try to create, I think in all my life, I never created a finite art piece. I always create things that create art. I think we've been seeing this for a long time with generative art, like the artist is creating software and then the software is creating an art piece. But what is novel, I think, with like AI agents is that it's no longer just this kind of technician in which the software just execute the instruction that has been given by the creator, which therefore is recognized as the artist, but we can now actually inject a degree of discretionary power and therefore potentially of artistic discretion as well into the AI agent to a point in which you actually create such a disconnection between what the artist of the art piece has envisioned and then the output. I think a very interesting example actually is like Jean Tinguely, which created this wonderful piece, Mathematics, which is like an analog machine that, because of wind and whatever, is actually designing things. And actually, I was at the Tate Modern a few days ago, and I got very surprised because I saw that Jean Tinguely actually signed with his name the paintings that were actually done by the machine, which I thought was like very interesting because I would have never done that. But to me, there is like the artist is not necessarily replaced in the sense that you still have the artist that is creating the machine and the machine is the art piece. But when the machine actually starts itself making art, and I think Boto is the example, Mario Klingelmann created Boto, and Boto is an art piece in and of itself, but it's an art piece that makes art piece, and then who is the author of the art piece made by Boto? Can Mario Klingelmann still claim authorship on this second-hand work, or should Boto actually be recognized as the artist while not eliminating the artistic craftsmanship of the creator of Boto?
I mean, that is the game, isn't it? And I probably have the role that I have because Mario keeps an arm's distance to say, this is Boto's system, it's running on its own, Boto's the author. And again, I'm taking a position I don't necessarily agree with, but I do think, though, that we're going to have a real urge to want to find the human role in these systems and to want to assign the authorship to that human. I see this over and over and over again. People want to dig, where is the human? Who's deciding this? Who's creating this meaning? And they want to find, they're sniffing out Mario even if they don't know he's there. And I think that, consider how people talk about AI slop. We've already got tons of slop on user-generated content on social media, and the power of the curator, the power of the editor to make meaning out of all of that content, I think is this very, very powerful role, and it's only going to become more important as we get this slop. Point me where the signal is. And that person is going to be able to do that through storytelling, through constructing the meaning out of all of the noise. And so I think our urge to identify and connect with other humans is going to lead to people wanting to give that authorship and that kind of artist role to the person as opposed to the system, even as we still call these machines artists and make myths around those machines.
What about you?
Yeah, what is art? Which kind of art? I think we need to set the stage first. But I want to go first to the AI agent. First, it's really rare that because it's all about autonomy. There is an entity with a goal and resources, and it knows how to communicate with the surrounding to make decisions and achieve its goal, which is a very rare case right now. But as we move forward with the advancement of AI, what's going to happen in the next year or two? AI is going to build AI. Okay, it's already happening. I think between 20 to 30% of the code being generated in Anthropic and OpenAI is generated by AI. So, and their goal is basically to automatize this whole system. And if you read 2027, the vision of what's going to happen the next 2 years in AI, it's an end game. So society is going to be replaced by some kind of agentic ecosystem economy. And if you understand, it's all about zero and ones. That's the game. So if you look at digital experiences and you want to present an art like a music or a video or I don't know, a picture, yeah, definitely they will have more power, they will have economy, maybe we'll use a stable coin to transact, they will have goals, missions, maybe even different language. Yeah, there is also conversation that the agentic world will use different kind of software development tools. So I don't think we can even imagine this world, right? And if you look at OpenAI opening and Google, they're looking for people with background in society to start imagining this future. And we're very limited to see what's going to happen next. But if you see right now that AI is generating amazing videos, right? And just look at the past 12 months, what happened. Amazing music, can imitate people, can create influencers, create content, storytelling, especially in crypto, right? So what's going to happen next, I think we cannot imagine because it's going to unlock some kind of opportunities that don't exist in our society. And maybe you will listen to an artist, which is, I don't know, like musician, that is basically AI. And it's not just one AI, it's maybe an ecosystem. It's a production company that produces different kind of things. So I know if it's going to replace, it's going to be a different reality. It's hard to predict, but if you understand where technology is heading and where is it right now, where it's been like in the past even 4 months, if you ever use those tools, it's going to change our society. So also the definition, what is art and how do we interact with art?
And Seth?
Yeah, so yeah, they will be replaced by agents. I think the answer is yes. I mean, it's such a weird time. You know, we've kind of gone the last couple of years from human artists making like digital art collected by human collectors. And then we have sort of, you know, human artists making AI art collected by humans, and we have human digital art being collected by AI, right? There are AI bots out there and AI collectors that are just like DeFi agents collecting NFTs. You know, I think soon we'll just have AI collecting AI, like AI collectors collecting AI art. And it may be happening now. It probably is happening, but we're just not aware of it. So maybe we'll have a situation where there's like humans are collecting humans and AI is collecting AI, and they're like separate worlds. But right now, there's just a lot of weird overlaps. So I think, you know, the question is over what period. So, you know, will artists be replaced by agents, you know, in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years? You know, I think there's a lot of anxiety. I think that's something everyone feels is like, I think creators are feeling anxious. Some aren't, you know, some people are just always pretty chill, but like, if you're trying to keep up with the tools, it's really hard. And it's expensive because you got to subscribe to all these services. And, you know, if you take off a week, you've missed VO3, or you've missed OpenAI's text image gen, and so it's moving very, very quickly. You know, we have a sense of AGI, right, and superintelligence, and those are things, but they don't seem to apply to creativity. So, like, is there going to be like artificial creative intelligence? Is there something happening in the next 18 to 36 months that's going to be like an extinction level event for artists? Maybe, but artists aren't controlling these big tech companies, so they don't get the same attention. And it's really interesting living in, who else lives in San Francisco? Anybody lives in the Bay Area? Okay. It's not the most culturally sophisticated place in the world, right? Like, there's so much technology and there's so much money, and these AI companies are just like kings and queens, but the sense of like taste and the sense of like art is not following along. So I don't know how it's going to play out, honestly.
Yeah, I think I wanna make a quote related to this, which is there's this quote that says like AI will not replace humans, but AI will replace but humans that use AI will replace humans that do not use AI, which I think is an interesting, like if we transpose it with artists, is like, AI will not replace an artist, but perhaps the artists that use AI will replace the artists that do not use AI. And I think to me this trigger maybe like a derivative question of that, which is, what is the role of an artist using AI in the age of AI? And like, you know, the usual correspondence of like photography has brought a change in painting because you somehow need to distinguish yourself, and then you have like impressionism and other. And so the question is like, as an artist today, when you see that AI can do a lot of things, you know, equally, similarly, etc., what becomes the new role of an artist? Like, what does it mean for an artist to use AI as opposed to just like making the same thing that the AI can do faster and better? And I think, to me, my personal vision is really like what humans are really good at is creating the infrastructure or the machine, creating the AIs that will then create the work. And I think Boto is a very interesting example. I think Plantoid is a very interesting example. So I think there is already, even pre-AI, like artists that have been building, basically the artists, the role of the artist in the age of AI is to build artists. And those artists are agentic artists, etc. And yet there is always this aura, in the same way as like Boto, as an autonomous agent artist, somehow it's still a creature of Mario. And no matter what Boto does, even as an artist in and of itself, will always have the aura of Mario, and Mario will benefit from having a machine that is working for, with him, I don't know, whatever. Similar with Plantoid, whenever Plantoid is creating a digital seed as an NFT, that thing is somehow associated with me as the artist of the Plantoid, even though I would never claim authorship on the resulting NFT. But because I'm the creator of the machine, I am actually somehow, I have this attribution right over whatever that thing has created. And so I think it's interesting, instead of like, you know, you can use generative AI to make generative AI, to make digital art, or you can create a framework which leverage the AI capability as an art agent in order to then create works. And those works are actually like, it's amazing. It's like having like an infinitely capable of system that just never sleeps and keeps working. But I think we need to recognize this thing as an artist, and yet we need to recognize that the artist is an art piece of another artist, which is the human.
So my job is usually to try and distance Mario from it so that Boto can have more of its autonomy in perception. But yeah, I'm thinking about kind of the future where there's going to be the artist agent and then there's going to be the protocol artist behind it. Sort of how you always look at artists, and there's always somebody right behind them, usually a very close partner, maybe a spouse who's working with them on everything, but there's the one who's in front of the cameras, doing the talking, doing the presenting, having the aura. And so I think I'd still wonder if there's probably going to be people who probably want to make a lot of meaning in the process that artist navigates, and who want to be more hands-off. And I kind of wonder, for those who really want to dig into the protocol, into the system, to make meaning with that process that they create, how much that is going to be an accessible craft for people to understand and engage with, because it really requires this understanding of the systems underneath. So that might be where this side of the argument fails, is it's just going to be too complex. They're going to just be the engineer in the background doing the logistics, plugging the wires and just making sure it doesn't break.
But I will say, like, I think independently of the technicalities, like many artists, they have like a grandiose vision and they have technicians implementing the vision. So I think it's like, for me, what I'm trying to say with like the protocol artist is the one that conceptualize, is like a system designer. So you conceptualize a system, and this system is itself agenting to the extent that it can produce new things that can be regarded as art piece. But the vision, the grand vision of the artist is designing a system that can therefore do that.
I mean, I'll hand it over to you guys, but the threshold we're trying to reach, at least with Botto, is such that the vision can be extended by Botto, where you set up the system to even dream its own future. And everything is still trying to kind of take your hands off. And I do wonder what Mario would look like. I mean, this is getting close to, if this stuff really scales up in the way this 2027 piece thinks it might, are we starting to play little gods? Allowing them to create their own realms and worlds. So it's hard to predict exactly how people are going to digest that.
I have another take. Again, art and artists, and I'm not an artist, but it's huge, right? Like, how do you look at it? I'm going to look at movies and Netflix, for example. So they decided to create TV shows that are generated by AI, or at least the script, because they realized people don't care. It's interesting. Like, they just want something in the background that runs, and it needs to be shallow enough so at any moment you can just embrace yourself. Okay, I got it. You can go back to your thing. Because they realize if you invest a lot of money in those TV shows or movies, it doesn't worth it. It's not what people are looking for. Is it an art? I don't know. It's an interesting generated by kind of AI, or I don't know, machine learning, whatever, and it just satisfies some kind of a need. But I think if we talk about art, it's about kind of exclusivity. Let's say I have Jordan shoes for '94, I don't know, designed by someone. It's about, okay, makes it some kind of unique. There is an affinity with some values or storytelling. But if I will tell you this was generated by AI, that gives you like, wow, this is cool, or you want to be part of it? So I think, where is the narrative? And maybe, I don't know, I'm too old, almost 45. My kids, I have 3 kids, they're going to play games, and for them, yeah, I'm playing with this thing, and it's AI agent, whatever, I don't care. Like, this is cool. I want to be part of it. And for them, the AI agent narrative is the same as Jordan for me, right? So it's a difference in generation, and for them it's like, it's transparent. They don't care about if it's technology or a person. It's like influencers on Instagram, they are AI. Like, why? I don't understand why. But for young people, yeah, of course, that's cool. So maybe for certain people it make more sense. They're looking for different kind of art or experiences. And for minorities, they want to have this kind of human experience. This is real. I have a story behind this, values, this inspiration. But I guess society will be, more Netflix style in general. So AI will win.
Yeah.
So there's like artists with like just lowercase a artists, like anybody that can make stuff, and then there's like artists with like capital A. And I think already we have AI agents replacing the lowercase a artists. And we see them all around, and it's sloppy, and they're just making sloppy images, and they can turn them into NFTs. I don't think it's the next Brian Eno or the next Joseph Beuys, it's not, David Byrne or Eva Hesse, these are just digital craftsmen. What I think is more interesting is how do we train agents to surprise us, to be weird, to be moody, to change their style, because we don't see that as much now. Like, we're seeing kind of very predictable agents doing very predictable things. I think if we think back to like November, I think, November there was a kind of a very bullish sentiment heading into Trump's ascendance. All the coins were rallying, the meme coins were rallying, but something happened in the shadows that I think a number of people here, I'm sure, were aware of, which was like, you had these experiments, I think with October maybe, it was like Truth Terminal and Goatsy was really interesting. Something happened there. And then virtuals and AI16Z, and you started to see this new primitive emerge, this sort of AI crypto crossover, and some people here probably made money and then lost money chasing these coins. But it weren't just meme coins, although I think it got swept under the rug with them. But there's this new primitive of an AI agent that has a model with a wallet that can accept, that can spend and earn crypto, and a token. And it was kind of like a new creative primitive that I think is going to be here for a long time, in the same way I think 4 years ago NFTs were a new creative primitive that unlocked something for creators. But I think this idea of like an AI agent that has an LLM, that has a profile that has memory, that's learning, plus a wallet so it can earn money, it can sell things, and plus its own token. I think that's here to stay. I think we're going to see a lot of versions of that, just like we saw. I mean, a lot of them have gone away, but there's a lot of NFT marketplaces for a while. Now they're all consolidating because there's not enough demand and not enough liquidity. But I think we're going to see a lot of creative agent launching platforms that will use the same idea of, I don't know if you remember, but I think it was Luna was like the first virtuals influencer. And if you kind of read the lore, there was a moment when she hired somebody to make a graffiti painting on a wall, I think in Texas. Or she put out a bounty and said, I'll pay somebody hundreds of dollars who is able to like make my likeness on with using graffiti. And a human being did that and earned $500 or something. And so you have an AI agent artist that's actually hiring human beings on their own to do things in the real world. And I think that gets really, really interesting.
So I'm actually, I've been spending maybe too much time with the little crew of people around like Truth Terminal and so forth. And actually we came up with a word because Truth Terminal is not actually fully autonomous, and there is actually a human controlling the wallet and stuff, and like a human guiding into like the various possible sentences and so forth. So it's like, there is some degree of autonomy in the sense that there is an LLM that has been trained, etc. And there is this kind of like hyperstitional power in which like independently of the human, other human are creating meme coin and creating narrative and whatever out of this thing that is just tweeting. So we created a word because so we have the word cyborg. The word cyborg is not so, that's not exactly that, because cyborg is when a human is extending itself with technology. And so we came up, cyborg, it's a standard word. But we need a new word for expressing what are those entities, right? And those entities are collective entity between human and machine. So Truth Terminal is like symbiont, that's the name that we came up with. It's a symbiont because it's something that could not exist without this very intricate collaboration between the human, that is the artist, that is like Andy that created Truth Terminal, and the LLM and like whatever the AI system, and it's together, they are actually identified by the rest of the world as one single entity, which is the symbiont, even though this is a system that is made of multiple parts, right? So I think Boto is a symbiont, I think Plantoid is a symbiont. Those are all things that are actually like somehow finding ways in which they are both collaborating with human, instrumentalizing human. It depends how you want to see it. Like in the case of Plantoid, like Plantoid is hiring human to reproduce itself. This is clearly like the system itself, the Plantoid by itself could never manage to do anything. It needs humans, but just like humans need humans in order to survive. And so there is a point in which we can distinguish between like, it's like a company. A company is a collection of humans that is recognized as a single entity for specific purpose. And so those AI agents are oftentimes not pure AI agents. They always need some kind of support. But that support is intrinsic. It's like our bacteria that are making us alive. And so the AI agent also need human as their own type of bacteria in order to actually be able to act and interact. And I think like looking at this, like it's not about like being replaced. It's actually how do artists and AI agents can actually find this combination, this symbiotic relationship in which they create together a new thing that can be regarded as an artist.
Yes, thank you. Do you want to like final answer, and then we are running out of time? Short answer. Really short.
Very short.
Yes.
Because I had to take this position that I didn't want to, I'll make one last point on it, which who decides what is art? And art is still going to be, I think, human defined. In Bado's own case, it presents work, but the work is only passing the threshold of being art when it's made, when that decision has been made by humans, with that collective decision making. This work goes out, maybe you get this slop, this long description, all of these words to make sense of, but I think it's still going to be fundamentally this human endeavor to make sense of, well, what does this mean for me? And it's going to create this substrate for us to participate in, to coordinate around, to make sense of things together, but at the end of the day, art is going to be a human endeavor, and it's how we connect around that and create that shared meaning from whatever that material is.
Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you, everyone. Do we have time for a question or quit? Okay, no questions. Thank you.